Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're reviewing the new Oner Active Softmotion collection. I've tried Oner Active a couple times and I think they actually have really good stuff. And when I saw this collection was launching, I knew I just had to try it for myself. This is their first like naked feel, super soft, double brushed fabric. And that is something that is just speaking my language. And it's actually the first time I've shopped a launch in quite a while. And let me just say, I don't miss it. I got almost everything that I wanted. I did forget a couple things because things were selling out and I was panicking, so I missed the bolero shrug that they have that I really wanted to try. But I got basically everything else. I got the flare pant, the straight leg pant, the regular leggings, the sports bras, and the jacket. As always, this review is unsponsored. I did buy all of these myself. I don't work with Oner, but honestly, my hopes are pretty high and this collection looks super cute. I think a lot of it is sold out now, but they did say this is a collection they're going to be bringing back. And Oner definitely likes to bring back the same pieces in new colors a lot, which is honestly nice as a consumer because then if you find something you really like in one color, it comes back in other colors and then you just already know you like it. So without further ado, let's get into the pieces. So I just wanted to chat about the Softmotion fabric first. So this is advertised for low impact workouts, which makes me a little bit nervous that it's not going to hold up. Just because something is meant for low impact doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to last. It's a double brushed, minimal compression fabric. I'm all for something with a light compression as long as it hugs the body well still. There's nothing worse than a low compression fabric that just slips right off the body. So their Softmotion fabric is an 81% polyamide, 19% elastane. And I actually did some deep diving because I'm like, you know what? I almost never see polyamide in a non-seamless fabric, and I looked through all of my years and years of legging notes, and the only leggings I was able to find that were actually a polyamide elastane or polyamide spandex, I could only find two that were made of a fabric of the same composition, which were the Vuori All the Feels leggings, which were also a very lightweight naked feel fabric. I would say honestly very similar feel to this, and then also the Gymshark Whitney Simmons V1 leggings, which do not feel similar to this, because then I was like, what is polyamide and why do I only see it in seamless fabrics? And I often see nylon spandex fabrics. Apparently nylon is a type of polyamide, but polyamide is kind of the overarching term. And since polyamide is a more general term, I wasn't really able to get a lot of information on how that compares to nylon. But I will say this does feel very thin and very, very lightly brushed. I don't really think I have anything in my closet that feels exactly like this. Honestly, the closest thing would be those Vuori All the Feels leggings. Probably the second closest thing I have to this would be the Buff Bunny butter fabric, which I honestly don't love, and this fabric doesn't hold up very well. So it does make me a little bit nervous. This one does feel very, very thin, but I did like the Vuori All the Feels. Here is the fabric up close. It has a very light layer of brushing to it, but you can still kind of see the woven fibers of the fabric. A lot of stretch. It does say that it's double brushed, which usually means it's also brushed on the inside. The inside doesn't really feel brushed, but it also doesn't feel sleek. I just think it definitely is more brushed on the outside. And here it is side by side with the Buff Bunny butter fabric over here. Again, honestly, looks very similar. Okay, we're going to start off with a piece that I was really excited to try because it's right up my alley. We have the Softmotion straight leg pants. So they had a bunch of different options for bottoms in the Softmotion fabric. They had a regular legging, which we'll talk about, a flare legging, and then they have these straight leg. And I think the straight leg and the flare legging are maybe a little bit too similar, but the concept of a straight leg legging is everything to me. I recently reviewed the Aries straight leg trousers. I forget exactly what they were called, but basically it's fitted like a legging at the top and then it's loose and flowy throughout the leg. And that is everything I'm looking for as someone who likes to wear really loose and flowy clothing. So I got a size small long, and these were $63. So definitely in the mid to high price point, but not the worst I've seen for prices. I love that Oner comes in 3 lengths of things because I did get the tall, but I measured these and they're almost a 36-inch inseam. One thing that really frustrated me about their website is normally when I'm buying flare leggings, instead of saying short, regular, and tall or long, they'll say the exact inseam length because I know my inseam and I like about a 33 to 34 is ideal for me. I really can't do much taller than that. And their website doesn't list the inseams. It just says short, regular, and tall. And I am tall, so I got the tall, but this is extra tall. So for my tall girlies, Oner Active has you covered, but I am just a little bit disappointed that they wouldn't just put the inseam length on the website so that I know what inseam I'm getting, because I wasn't able to find any information on exactly how many inches this was, and now it's going to be way too long. So even on their size guide, they don't include inseam or anything. So that's really something I would like to see moving forward so that I don't buy leggings that I'm going to be swimming in, which is not something that like ever happens to me, but I kind of worry for my short girlies if the short is going to be short enough for you, because generally for brands, I see like a 28, 29 inch, 31 inch, and then like a 33. And it seems like Oner is a little bit skewed towards the taller side, which again, it's not a problem if we know the inseam length, but I didn't know the inseam length. So we have a double thickness waistband, nice flat log seams, a little triangle gusset. We're going to have a nice flowy straight leg fit, which I think is perfect for this lightweight fabric. In the back, the seams are just ever so slightly curved around the glutes. I think this is a perfect amount. We have the Oner logo embroidered into the back, which is not something I usually see on a non-seamless legging, but I'm here for an embroidered logo. No scrunch or anything. These are just straight up the back, very simple. They do have a seam on the side. Let's try them on. Okay, we are off to a good start because these pants are perfect. Guys, I love nothing more than a flowy pant moment. Look at this movement, look at this movement. No one makes pants like these. I've only seen the airy ones and these, and it's so nice to have a second option. And the airy ones have a front seam, and these don't. So obsessed with the concept of these pants, but let's talk about how they're fitting. I'm putting these on right away. I think they're fitting me really well in a size small, so true to size. I also really like where these are hitting on me. They're hitting right at the small of my waist. This is what I would consider just like a high rise, not an ultra high going like above the belly button. So I think this is a really good height for most torso heights. We have a double thickness waistband. It's hard to tell the overall compression because these are such a flowy pant, but I'd say these are fitting as a very light compression, but they are still hugging the curves. I'm getting the tiniest bit of crotch gathering. I don't know if that's because these are a flowier pant, so we'll see if I'm getting that in the other pants, but I'm not getting any camel toe. These are still fitted like a legging on the top, so we'll go over that a little bit more when we look at the full length. These do have a seam down the side, and then I put these on and immediately they just like went up the glutes a little bit. I didn't even have to like pull them up there. They just kind of wanted to be up the cheeks. So these are super flattering, definitely at least a medium to high on the booty scale. It's not squishing glutes down at all. It really is hugging the curves. So it's not that kind of like saggy or thin fabric, which I was concerned about. The seams sit right above the glutes. I think that their back rise seam is just a little bit on the short side, which I actually think it's a really good length because you still can pull it up the glutes a little bit without it being too high overall in the back. And let's take a look at the full length view. So unfortunately, these are definitely too tall for me, unless I was wearing heels, which I wouldn't really do with a straight leg pant like this. I just can't really do a 35.5 inch inseam, which is what I got for these. But for my ultra tall girlies, I'm glad that we have options for you guys. I just think it would be nice if they put the actual inseam length on the website so I didn't have to be in this situation, because when am I not a tall inseam? I have never had a tall inseam like this be too tall for me. And when looking at where these pants flare on me, even though they're not a flare pant, they still are snug on the top. Hey buddy, oh, pins. We're playing springs, but come on. These start getting loose on me just below the bulk of my thighs. So if your thighs are a little bit smaller than mine, they may be looser, slightly higher up, but they truly are like a straight leg fit, straight all the way down. I would almost call them a wide leg pant, not a straight leg pant. And I think this fabric really works for this style of pant because it is so lightweight and flowy. I didn't really mean to do a little snaky leg on you guys right there, sorry. And durability, sometimes I just like rub my ring on things and see if it snags at all. But I did just rub my ring on the pant and I just got 2 little snags. So they're super tiny, but I definitely am able to snag this fabric. So unfortunately, longevity is something I just can't really try in every review because it takes a lot of wearing and washing to see. So if you guys have had any quality or durability issues in yours, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Or if you haven't and these are holding up for you, that is also, oh, Vince, you're back. Or if you do think the fabric is holding up, I definitely think this is a more delicate, lightweight fabric, and you're gonna wanna be careful with these, unfortunately. So, but definitely curious about pilling and all of that stuff. As a lounge pant, I'm not as worried about it, but I still get cat claws and things, you know, that I don't want to snag. And I'm sure if my ring just snagged this, the cat claws are also gonna get a little pull in this. So anyways, we're rambling. Love the shape of these. On to the next. Next, let's talk about the Softmotion flared bottoms. These were also $63 and I also got a small tall, and they're also 36-inch inseam. So I feel like I'm gonna look a little bit silly in these, which it does kind of affect their view to not have the right inseam, but I don't think these are gonna be an issue on the calves because of the fit, which we'll talk about. Anyways, the structure on the top is essentially the same as the straight leg pants. These are very similar to the straight leg pants. We have a straight across waistband, triangle gusset, slightly curved seams. And I will say one thing about this collection, I'm not a huge fan of the colors that they did. This baby pink is so baby pink that it's basically white. So I think sheerness definitely could be an issue. Hopefully it's not so sheer that I can't just wear nude underwear with it. I'm okay if something's a little bit sheer, as long as I can still wear my nude underwear, but some things are so sheer that you can't even do that. So hopefully this will be thick enough for that. It's just kind of a color that when I'm not self-tanned like I am today, it really washes me out. And then I feel like they just had like a tan and then this kind of sage green, which just reminds me of the classic Lululemon green, which is just a little bit boring, but this is their first launch, so they will have more colors. Anyways, we got those curved seams. We do have the Oner logo here. It's really hard to see on the baby pink because the white is so close to baby pink. You can see it right there. Honestly, I'm all for a minimally visible logo. And I'm going to do a comparison of these versus these straight leg pants. Honestly, these flare super high up, a little bit too high if you ask me. Okay, we have the flare leggings. So these are definitely more fitted down the leg than the straight leg pants. We will just compare those. Instead of kind of flaring right below the bulk of my thighs, these do flare right above the knee. So we'll get into that in a second. But anyways, true to size, their bottoms are all fitting really well. If you are in between, you could really go either way. If you prefer more compression, size down. If you want more of a relaxed fit, size up. They're hitting me at the perfect place on my waist. And again, this fabric is kind of just hugging all the curves in the right way. So I am liking that. It is super thin and naked feel, like low compression. At least I'm getting like some body hugging, but you're definitely not getting any compression out of this. I feel like I'm getting less fabric gathering in the crotch on this one. So I think this is just a little bit more of a classic legging fit compared to the straight leg pants, which were maybe a little bit more relaxed. We do have that little gusset. I'm seeing it a little bit, which I don't normally see triangle crotch gussets. So I don't think it's to the point where it's bothering me, but I am seeing it a little bit. We have those side seams, and then we have the tag, which is quite visible under these essentially white leggings. So I'm borderline on these. If I look in the mirror, I am seeing a little bit of my nude underwear under these. So these might not really be stand proof. I am pretty flexible on my squat proofness. I'll wear pretty sheer leggings, but as soon as I can start reading the care tag info through the leggings, that's generally where I draw the line. And I feel like when you see that really stark difference between the waistband and right below the waistband, especially up that back rise, that's when it kind of draws your eye that it's sheer. So I think that these are just a little bit too light. They are essentially white, and that's basically impossible to make squat proof. But yeah, I would probably stick to the other colors. Just like the other leggings, these are super flattering on the glutes, medium to high booty scale. They are going up the glutes a little bit. You're not going to get very much cellulite coverage out of these because they're so thin and they're not super brushed. I really wouldn't expect much cellulite coverage at all. Then we have the full length view. Again, these are 36-inch inseam, so they're too tall for me. I would have preferred the regular length, but again, I didn't know how long the inseam was. So that could be kind of interfering with the overall fit of these. Are they going to be large calf friendly? Absolutely. So that is a plus, but I do think that these are a more relaxed flare shape. And since they already had these straight leg pants, I would have preferred a more like fit and flare shape just to kind of differentiate those a little bit more, because these feel like a similar shape to the wide leg. They just flare like 6 inches lower, but they do start to get loose around my knees. And my favorite flare shape goes just right below the knee and then flares, because it still kind of gives you that fit and flare look. That's all completely personal preference though. If you like a slightly more relaxed flare, I think that these are still a pretty dramatic flare amount. We're still getting a little bit of a bell bottom, which I like. I do like a wider flare. When it's too small, it just doesn't balance out my proportions well. So yeah, I like these, but I think I prefer their straight leg pants a little bit more just because those are so fun and unique. I guess we're just starting with all the bottoms first. We have the Softmotion leggings. I got a size small, long again. I love that even their regular leggings do come in multiple lengths. These are $58 and the inseam is 28.5. I think that's very normal for a longer length legging, which makes me wonder why the flare leggings and the straight leg pants are so much longer as the tall, because 28 is about perfect for me and I'm 5'9", but a 36-inch flare legging is for someone who's like 6 feet tall, and this might be more of an ankle length legging on a 6 feet tall person. Super tall girlies in the comments weigh in, because I am a tall girly, but I'm not 6 feet plus tall girly. Again, very similar structure, double thickness waistband, triangle gusset. I do think just looking at these leggings, they just really do look very high quality. The seams, they did a great job. Sometimes you can see issues when these seams are coming together in the back here, and I feel like it's very clean. Let's try them on. All right, finally, just the basic Softmotion leggings. So again, very true to size. These do feel a little bit lower than the flared pants and the straight pants, which I liked how perfect those hit me. So this is a little bit low for me. I don't really like things to go below my natural waist. It's just not what I'm comfortable with. So this is definitely better for my shorter torso girlies. So the crotch area is fitting well. I'm not seeing the gusset, very minimal gathering here. The basic leggings have no side seam, so very seamless look, very, very low compression. And honestly, I just prefer a little bit more hold than this in my leggings. Like if we're comparing this to something like Buff Bunny Butter, that's not really my favorite fabric from them. It's just almost a little bit too lightweight, and I'm not even really a big fan of like the OG Lululemon Aligns. I like something to have a nice soft feel, but just a little bit more hold. So if you are someone who likes an OG Lululemon Align, these are super, super lightweight. Endless stretch, they contour your body. It's a really nice fabric, but it's just not my personal favorite. We go to the back, and these are super flattering on the glutes, medium to high on the booty scale. They sit just right above the glutes there. Embroidered logo. Again, not going to give you a ton of cellulite coverage because this fabric is just so thin. And full length view. It is really hard for me to find a 28-inch inseam legging, so these are a true full length on me. You probably could get some vertical stretch out of these and stretch them a little bit more. So functionally, I think these are great for something low impact like yoga, just going to be very lightweight, stretchy. But personally, I like just half an inch more to the rise and just a little bit more hold in my fabric. And then we have two pairs of shorts. There's the Softmotion cycling shorts, which are 8 inches, and then just the Softmotion shorts, which are 6 inches. Again, definitely leaning on the long side. Personally, I love a 6-inch inseam. I feel like biker and cycling shorts kind of are on their way back, which makes me very happy because the super short shorts don't work for me, but there are no shorter options. So let's start with the regular shorts. These are $47. I got them in a size small. We have the light beige color here. Again, not that much to say. The top design is the same as everything else, except the shorts do not have a side seam here. Let's try them on. Okay, here are the 6-inch shorts. I do feel like these are hitting me a little bit lower on the rise compared to the leggings. So this is more of like a mid to high rise. I am seeing more belly button. So if you have a shorter torso, these might be good for you. We have that double thickness waistband. Again, very true to size. If you're in between, you really can go either way. I love that the waistband's double thickness, but it's not like cutting into me anywhere. No front seam, and I'm not really seeing the gusset on these shorts. I will say these 6-inch shorts are fitting like a 5-inch. So I'm glad that they have the 8-inch option. These are also super thick thigh friendly. They're so stretchy at the bottom, but because of that, they could just like slide up a little bit, which is not normally a problem for me in the gym, but these are just things that I noticed now that I started running. I feel like they wouldn't completely stay put if I started running in them. Would I recommend them for running because the fabric is so lightweight? No, but just thought I would mention. We have no side seam, and I'm seeing a lot less of that care tag on this color. So this color is definitely more squat proof than the baby pink. And then in the back, we have those flattering seams, medium to high booty scale. Not a lot of cellulite coverage on these. Overall, very low compression short, but it's still hugging all the curves and still super comfy. Personally, I'd prefer a slightly higher rise, but we'll see how the 8-inch shorts are. And the cycling shorts, similar to the regular shorts, we have that triangle gusset, no side seam, all the same details except an 8-inch inseam. Okay, here are the cycling shorts, and honestly, I'm gonna have to measure these inseams. I have not measured the inseams on the shorts yet, but these are fitting like really well. I really like the length of these. Unfortunately, the waistband is still a little bit low for me. This is not unfortunate for everyone, but for me, I just prefer a little bit higher. So still about a mid to high rise, double thickness waistband, no front seam. The gusset is sitting far enough back on this one. Still super thick thigh friendly, but I do feel like these taper down below the bulk of my thighs a little bit more. So these are going to stay put a little bit better for me. So all just personal preference, but if you do have larger thighs, I probably would go for the 8-inch. No side seams again on these. And again, we're still seeing that care tag. I just think if you like pull these leggings up at all, I can definitely see my underwear on the inside. So I'm honestly just surprised that they launched such a light color. And then the seams in the back, super flattering, really no additional details compared to the 6-inch shorts. I just prefer this slightly longer length. And then they have two very basic sports bra options. This is the Softmotion Sports Bra. This is the one with a little bit more coverage. This was $40. I got my normal size small. It's made of that Softmotion fabric, and it has kind of a soft V neckline in the front. The tank straps taper in a little bit, and then you have a little skinny racer back. We do have that embroidered Oner Active logo again, and just a little elasticated seam at the bottom. There's no thick elastic in here, which is fine. This is meant to be a low impact collection, and we do have removable cups, so let's check those out. Oh yeah, I forgot how much I loved Oner Active cup pads. They're a little bit thicker in the center than most cup pads, but they taper out really nicely, and they have this little like teardrop shape, so you always know which cup pad is going in which side of your sports bra, and kind of just helps hide the pad a little bit again. So let's try these on. All right, here's the Softmotion Sports Bra. And even though this one has more coverage, honestly, the other one was just giving my girls a little bit of a lift, and it looked super flattering. And you know what? I like a little bit of a cleavage moment sometimes, so I actually prefer the bralette. The sports bra is still really nice though if you're just looking for a little bit more coverage. This one is more of a medium to full coverage. And the support is a little bit higher on this one as well. Honestly, I'm pretty held. I would give it a solid medium support. I wouldn't go running in it. But for most other workouts, this one also has a slightly more snug fit, similar to the last one. So the fabric's just kind of holding you in. This fabric is really nice for sports bras. It has a lot of stretch, but when it's a little bit smaller, you get that kind of compression support without being uncomfortable. So I would size up if in between though, just because it is a little bit snug. I maybe feel a little bit snug on the traps, but again, because it is a softer fabric, I don't really think it's going to bother me. So slightly higher V neckline. We do have that little band at the bottom. Cup pads are a great size and shape, and I think this one might extend into the armpits just a little bit more. Feels like it's going to stay put really well, and I would not worry about falling out of this one. And the back is honestly very similar. It might be just slightly longer in the band there, but just a very simple racerback sports bra. Honestly, it's really nice. Love that Oner sports bras are usually pretty large cup size friendly. I'd say if you're a larger bust, you could really wear either of them. It's just going to depend on which coverage you prefer. And then we have the Softmotion Bralette, which is very, very similar to the sports bra, just slightly different coverage. Also $40, also got a size small, same kind of V neckline, except the neckline just dips down a little bit more. I will do a side-by-side of this one versus the sports bra, but I kind of wish they maybe did like a slightly different sports bra just to like switch it up a little bit, just because they are so similar. But it's nice to kind of have like maybe a smaller cup size option and a larger cup size option. Same cup pads, same little just elasticated seam at the bottom, and no true elastic in there. Then we have the logo embroidered. It's basically exactly the same except for the neck coverage is slightly different. So the sports bra kept selling out on me in the baby pink, so I ended up not getting that one, but this one wasn't selling out quite as much. So let's try it on. Okay, so here is the bralette. Super flattering, very basic shape. So first of all, in terms of sizing, I would say this is true to size. It does feel a little bit snug on me, but in a supportive way. Because the fabric is so thin and stretchy, having a little bit extra of a snug fit just helps it be a little bit more supportive. So I would say true to size. If you're in between, you could really go either way. I would say size up if it weren't for the fabric being so thin. So we have that little band at the bottom that just kind of keeps everything secure. Love the cup pad shape, and we have that scooping slight V neckline. I would say this is about a medium coverage. I get a tiny bit of side boob, tiny bit of cleavage, but I think I would stay in it no problem. So I think for larger chests, you really could go either way. You could do the bralette or you could do the sports bra. Just know you're going to get a little bit less coverage out of this one. For my smaller busts, I would go with this one. The other one just might look a little bit too top-like on you, but of course everyone has their own preferences. So support is honestly not bad. I'm still gonna give it about a light to medium support just because it really doesn't have a lot of coverage, but the straps are quite comfortable. They're a good length for me. Everything is very seamless and smooth with this bra. You're not going to get any chafing or discomfort anywhere. And then you have the little racer back, and it looks to be a little bit tight on my lats back there, but because the fabric is so stretchy, I'm not getting any discomfort cutting. Then you have the little Oner embroidered logo back there. So yeah, it's nothing crazy, but it's cute, it's simple, and I think it's flattering. And then we have the Softmotion Jacket. You guys know I love a BBL jacket like this. I got a size small, and this is $58, which I actually think is pretty good for a jacket. That's like less than the flare leggings, which I feel like usually a jacket is slightly more. So we have a mock neck, and this is a full zip. I don't love that they chose black for the main zipper thing here, because on the pockets they have tonal hardware for the zipper. So I just feel like the black stands out a little bit too much there. Made of that soft motion fabric, it looks like it's going to be like a hip length, which is my absolute favorite length. I don't like when my jackets are too long and they kind of just take over my entire torso and make my torso look longer than it is. I love how hidden the zip pockets are here. When you zip them up, you basically don't even see them, but we still have zip pockets, which is so important to me to have for a jacket. Do we have thumb holes? We do. do have thumb holes, guys. We have thumb holes. Basically has everything that I ask for in a jacket. Although I do feel like this material is a little bit thin for a jacket. It almost kind of feels like a shirt, which is okay if you're looking for something super lightweight, but I almost feel like it has too much flow to it to be like a nice structured BBL jacket. Then we have the Oner Active embroidered logo into the back there. Let's try it on. Okay guys, here is the jacket. Honestly, the baby pink does look good with a nice tan. So first thoughts, I have not zipped it up yet. The sleeves are definitely snug, but because this fabric is so stretchy, I don't think it's an issue. I definitely have like more muscular arms for a size small. So I do tend to feel things tight in the arms, but it's not an uncomfortable tight. Also love that the sleeves are plenty long enough. It's not at all uncomfortable to wear the thumb holes, which if there's something about me, I'm gonna be wearing the thumb holes. Just a quick 360 with the jacket unzipped. On the inside of the jacket, they have those little tuck pockets so you can put things on the inside of the pocket as well. And then let's zip her up. Again, the black zipper is killing me. Like it stands out so much. It's just like a little black zipper when this is such like a soft color. Okay, we are getting BBL out of this. This is a snug. Okay, I love it. I love it. This is so cute. It's snug, but the fabric can be snug. So you know what? I was second guessing this fabric for a jacket, but I think this is so Pilates princess. This is so cute. First of all, the length is absolutely perfect on me. It hits me right at the hip bones, so we're not showing any skin, but it also doesn't overwhelm the torso. I think this is a really flattering length if you're not trying to lose your legs. It's definitely snug, so if you're in between sizes, I would size up, or if you just don't want a super snug fit, I honestly don't know if I could wear a shirt under this in addition to a sports bra. So if you do plan on layering underneath this, you absolutely need to size up. But if you want that kind of compressive BBL style fit for a jacket, I would stick with your normal size. Zipped up to the full mock neck. This is the look. I love how hidden these little pockets are. These are my favorite type of pockets for jackets because you almost don't even see the seams. They're blended in to the seams on the bodice, but they're still a nice functional pocket so you can carry your things in them. It's lined with that same material. Sometimes these are lined with like a little mesh. Can we fit a phone in this? It's looking good. Yes, we can fit a phone. And usually I find in a size small jacket, I get like a little extra fabric at the bottom, but this one is actually snug all the way around for me. So this is actually fitting me really, really well. It's still definitely a thinner material, so it's really more of a shirt in terms of how much warmth you're going to get. So just keep in mind, this is like a spring fall jacket, probably not really a winter jacket. I also just like to zip these like right under the bust area. So even if you have a larger bust, this is so stretchy that this is going to stretch over your bust. Honestly, this is a top pick. I think it's super cute. Okay guys, that's it for the review. I did go back and measure the rises of everything. They'll all be listed with each of the items at the end of item notes as always, but the straight leg pants did have the highest rise measurement of 8.75. And the leggings and both of the shorts were only 8 inches. So that's why I just felt a little bit more comfortable with the rise there. The rise measurements are all on a size small. They might change based on your size, but I think overall the flared leggings and the straight leg pants have a slightly higher rise. And the 8-inch cycling shorts were only a 7.5 inch, which I had a feeling they weren't 8. They didn't feel like 8. So my overall thoughts, I think this launch is super cute, especially if you're like a yoga Pilates person, you really love those super lightweight, zero compression fabrics. This is definitely going to be for you. I am still a little bit concerned about how this fabric is going to hold up. Again, I don't really have a lot of information on that because that's something that you kind of work through over time, but it did snag on my ring when a lot of things don't. Personally, I just don't find myself reaching for the zero compression fabrics too much. I like something with a light to medium or medium compression, not to restrict me at all, but just have a little bit more hold. But I think they did an amazing job at the zip jacket and the straight leg pants. The straight leg pants, you just don't see those anywhere. And that is what this fabric is perfect for. The only reason I'm not keeping those is because I am swimming in the length. So I really need regular length. And I think they may have sold out in those. So, and the jacket is honestly so flattering. It has basically all the features I would look for in a jacket. And the fabric just works because it's so stretchy. So let me know what you guys think of this collection. If you tried it, if you're interested in trying it. I'm hoping for some different colors in the future just because I feel like the only options were like that boring sage green where I already have stuff in that color and a little bit too sheer even for me, and I'm okay wearing sheer leggings. So yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you have any more requests down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.